Okay, you're back for number 2. You are working on angle of depression. This time depression. Depression means going down. So notice that this time our person is up here at the top of our picture and he is looking downward. So when looking down to an object, the angle of depression is formed by the observer's line of sight. Right? See, line of sight, looking at the swimmer. And a horizontal line. So again, that horizontal line there. The angle of depression is congruent to the angle of elevation because they are alternate interior angles. Okay, so notice that we actually have parallel angles here, parallel lines, and so this is like the transversal. So again, we are going to draw and label a diagram, then we're going to solve for the missing part and round to the nearest tenth. So we have a lifeguard sitting on a platform, just like this, looking down at a swimmer in the water. If the lifeguard's line of sight is 8 feet above the ground and the angle of depression to the swimmer is 18 degrees, how far away is the swimmer from the lifeguard? Okay, so we've got our lifeguard stand, so I'm just going to kind of do what they did, and I'm going to have a guy sitting up here, or my lifeguard sitting up here. There's his hands. Line of sight. And then we've got our water down here. We've got our swimmer. Okay, yep, I'm really bad at drawing. There we go. And he's swimming. Woohoo! There we go. Okay, now our lifeguard is looking at the swimmer. And there is a horizontal line of sight. And what else? Okay, lifeguard sitting on the platform. Got it. Looking down at a swimmer. Got it. If the lifeguard's line of sight is 8 feet above the ground, okay, so from here all the way down to here is 8 feet above the ground, and the angle of depression of the swimmer is 18 degrees. This is 18 degrees. How far away is the swimmer? So in other words, I want to know from here to here. Basically, what is that distance? That is my x, right? Which means technically this is my x up here, right? Because this is a set of parallel lines. So we can kind of sketch in. There is our right angle. So the distance down here is the same as the distance up here. So I notice here I do have my angle of 18 degrees. I do know my opposite. Look at that. The opposite, since his eye's here, that's the same. And the ground is the same here. I do know that this is 8 feet. I also notice that I am looking for my x. That is going to be my adjacent. Notice that we are using the adjacent up here because it is next to my angle. So this is my adjacent. So again, I notice that I have an opposite on this side and I have an adjacent that I'm looking for. So I am going to be looking for my tangent. I'm looking up, remember over here, I'm going to be looking at opposite and adjacent. So I'm going to go ahead and write that I want tangent 18 is equal to my opposite of 8 over my adjacent of x. Now we're going to use very similar steps as last time. I am going to multiply both sides by x. And these cancel out. And so now I have x times my tangent of 18 is equal to 8. I need to divide both sides by tangent 18. And I'm going to, oops, I ran off the paper. I'm going to go ahead and use my phone for this. Here we go, tip it sideways. Now I do know on my calculator I have to hit it different than I would on a regular calculator. I do have to do 8 divided by, now I have to actually hit the 18 first and then my tangent. And that's going to be 24. So x in this case is 24.6 feet. And I know that that here is the distance that I'm looking for. And there is my answer. Now you're going to continue to work on the other 3 problems. Do make sure that you draw your picture and check in with me if you need additional help.